You know, I would love to see Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess on the Nintendo Switch 2, but if we don't get those, I'm gonna be honest, them showing off the next Legend of Zelda might be the next best thing, though I'm not too entirely sure about Triforce Heroes. I've never actually played that. Let me know in the comment section below if it's any good and I'll try it out. Hey guys, it's Rob here, and welcome back to the Robo-chan Show, where we take the gaming news format that channels like Spawnwave or Arlo do, add a dash of animation and some cool editing on top to bring you your gaming news, leaks, and rumors in a fresh new way. If you're new here and want to be kept up on everything gaming, make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave a like if you enjoy the video and dislike if not. In this video, we are going to talk about some rumors and leaks for The Legend of Zelda. They've been circulating around and they've been extremely interesting, especially when it comes to the 40th anniversary for The Legend of Zelda and just Legend of Zelda in general. There's also some other possibilities for The Legend of Zelda 40th anniversary that I personally think will happen, so I'll also talk about that later in the video. And of course, as always, remember, some of these things might not come true. This is a big warning for people who are going into this believing it 100%. It could end up being fake. So always take all of this with a grain of salt. So the Legend of Zelda 40th anniversary is on the horizon. It's about a month and a half away, and we're going to be getting some pretty interesting things when it comes to the Legend of Zelda if these end up being true. In February, we do have a Nintendo Direct that should happen. Usually we do get a February Nintendo Direct. That has been the pattern for a very long time, so I fully expect something to happen. And usually, at least with the new Nintendo, since the Nintendo Switch 2 was released, we usually do get something when it comes to an anniversary combined with a Nintendo Direct. If you guys remember, they did this with Mario, so I fully expect them to do this with The Legend of Zelda, and it's my hope that they don't do the same thing that they did with the last anniversary for The Legend of Zelda. I think we got like a Game & Watch device and that's pretty much it, which would really suck if they did that for the 40th anniversary, because I think there's a lot of potential, and the first potential for that is the next Legend of Zelda game, which is really exciting. Some things have been happening with that. So jumping over to Reddit on Gaming Leaks and Rumors, they have a breakdown of this Legend of Zelda leak, and this is what they say. Special Nick shares potential info on the next Legend of Zelda game. So does this mean that they're going to be doing another game in the series of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom? Not necessarily. They could do something very similar or something with the same art style, but it doesn't mean that they're going to necessarily do like the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom 2 or something. Matter of fact, let me know if you guys would want another game in those series, or would you want like the next Legend of Zelda? Which one would you pick if you had the choice right now to tell Nintendo do this or that? For me, I would want a new Legend of Zelda game just because the mystery of what they could bring out, because more than likely it's gonna be a good game. You know, Legend of Zelda games are usually good. Being said, they say staying in the same track of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Now I'm curious as if this means that there's gonna be another Legend of Zelda game that's within that universe, or is it just kind of building upon the ideas that were in those games? Kind of like how there was some hints of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild in Echoes of Wisdom. It was very much far removed from the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, but still had some of those hints from the gameplay from that game in Echoes of Wisdom. They also say use your powers to jump over dimensions and open tears in reality and merge puzzle bits in different realms, described as tears in reality, though unsure if tears like teardrop or tearing through paper. I would assume tearing through paper if this ends up being real. Anyways, it could end up being fake, remember that. But if they're talking about dimension jumping and tearing things, I mean tearing reality, that makes a lot more sense, right? Now it also says doesn't know a release date, but assuming it's years away, and notes that Jeff Grubb is present but doesn't have any info about this. They also say John and Jesse really hate when Nick's rumors are referenced as Xbox era reports, so consider Special Nick reports instead if you make an article or post about this. One thing I do have to say is there is an article from Screen Rant that has a title that has me agreeing with what it's saying. It says new Zelda game for Switch 2 leaks, but fans aren't sure, and yeah, I'm not sure either. This does sound fake if I'm being honest. If you were to ask me, does this, or is this I should say, fake or not, I would probably call it fake. I wouldn't believe it at all. It just doesn't sound like something that they would do for the next Legend of Zelda. Now of course I could be wrong on that. I was wrong on a couple years ago for the Legend of Zelda, or not Legend of Zelda, Super Mario 35th anniversary. There was a leak right before that Nintendo Direct happened, and I was wrong on calling that leak fake, so I could be wrong, but as it stands right now, I consider hear this fake and I think it's fake. It just sounds really, really fake to me. Let's continue with the next two topics, which is going to be what Aonuma's words are on the next Legend of Zelda, and of course, these very interesting things that are happening with Zelda Triforce Heroes and Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. It is more than likely just a standard trademark renewal by Nintendo, but it would be lovely if the Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes comes back in some shape or form. With both the Mario and the Legend of Zelda franchise celebrating anniversaries this year, who knows what will happen. So what is this? Well, I mean, it could be for the Nintendo Switch Online service. I've always said that Nintendo is probably going to bring the 3DS to the Nintendo Switch Online service. They'll probably sell a peripheral for it too. I mean, come on, if they put the Virtual Boy on the Nintendo Switch, why wouldn't they try to do something with the Nintendo 3DS, right? The next one would be a remaster or some kind of remake for it that reworks the controls and stuff for it so it can fit on the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2. That could be entirely possible. Nintendo has done that in the past, so they really got their picks. But the next thing is actually pretty interesting as well. There is some talk of the next Legend of Zelda from Nintendo themselves, specifically Aonuma, which I guess that's not Nintendo, but you guys get my point. It's from someone who's official, someone from the companies that are making these games. So according to VGC, they did an interview with the Japanese website 4Gamer with Zelda boss Aonuma, who shared some hints on what players can expect on the next Zelda game in the series, and suggested it might be inspired by elements of imprisonment, which is actually really interesting because it's not your usual Legend of Zelda game, right? This is what Aonuma said. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment is the first Zelda title on Nintendo Switch 2, and to be honest, we wanted to be the ones to release the first ones ourselves, laughs. The information we've gained from collaborating with Koei Tecmo like this may be reflected in the next Legend of Zelda we create. As you play Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, we hope you'll imagine those possibilities and look forward to our Zelda. So I'm kind of trying to think on how exactly would that be. Does it mean that we're going to be taking control of different characters now? Does it mean it has to do something with like these different areas that we got to clear out to secure the area, so to speak? Or does this have to do with something with the story of Legend of Zelda, like the timelines? It's very interesting because it's so vague, but there's so many directions that you can do. You can do the gameplay, you can do the story, you could do even the art style. I don't know, it's going to be very interesting to see. Now again, of course, as always, take it all with a grain of salt. It could all be fake. We could end up only getting, I don't know, some little small game like we got last time. And I'm not talking about an actual game, I'm talking about something like Mr. Game & Watch. I say Mr. Game & Watch because that's what it reminds me of, that little device. It was a Legend of Zelda game, but you guys get what I mean. There are some other rumors and leaks going around, and also just stuff that makes sense. Again, like the ports for Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess. I think we'll at the very least get those because that just seems like the easiest thing to do. The one that can make the most money and the easiest thing. Or, you know, maybe I'm biased and I just want them on the Nintendo Switch too. It might be Hopium. In fact, it is probably Hopium. Another thing that's been circulating, especially because the Lego stuff, is the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I know a lot of people want that. I've been seeing that in the comment section a lot whenever I cover this type of thing, so that's also something. As to where this all could be, again, like I said in the beginning of the video, I think there's going to be a February Nintendo Direct. In fact, there's some rumors already for, I think it was the day, I quickly looked at it, I didn't even look into it. It was February 10th, according to whoever said that information. Gonna do a video on that next, so make sure you're subscribed to that. But even aside from those rumors and leaks and all that great stuff about the Nintendo Direct, we usually get a February Nintendo Direct. You don't really have to have any inside information to look at past Nintendo Direct and say, oh, so like for the past 6 or 7 years, we've been getting a February Nintendo Direct. You would think that we would get another February Nintendo Direct, right? I think it was a little different close to the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2 because Nintendo was trying to get that going, but now that they're hitting their stride, I think they're going to go back to what they usually do and what usually works. That is a February Nintendo Direct, and I also think that we're going to be getting that Legend of Zelda combined with that Direct, just like we got for the Mario anniversary as well. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about that down in the comment section below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.